On August 15, 2025, Sean Kingston was sentenced to 42 months in federal prison for a $1 million wire fraud scheme, remanded immediately, no delayed surrender. The same voice that topped charts at 17 now headlines a case built on fake wire receipts, luxury goods, and the power of celebrity. The courtroom moment closed a chapter that's been building for more than a year, and the tone was final. Fans who grew up on the hits watched a very different kind of spotlight find him. Prosecutors said the paper trail was clear. The judge agreed and set the number at 3.5 years. Subscribe if you want fast, verified breakdowns of pop culture legal shocks the moment they land. How did a hitmaker end up here in the first place? And why did the final gavel hit this hard? Start with the visuals. A May 2024 SWAT raid at a Fort Lauderdale mansion. Mom arrested on site. Kingston picked up later that day at Fort Irwin in California. Those images set the tone long before opening statements, and they didn't fade from the headlines. From there, filings stacked up, witness lists grew, and the calendar marched toward a trial date. The pace felt relentless, but each date pushed the story forward. Fast forward, a March 2025 jury conviction for conspiracy to commit wire fraud and multiple counts of wire fraud, then the August 15, 2025 sentence. The court said he leveraged fame to obtain goods he never paid for. He apologized, but was still taken into custody on the spot. Tap subscribe to catch every appeal filing, custody transfer, and restitution update as it moves. So what was the actual playbook behind the headlines? Court records say sellers were lured through social media to impressive homes with promises of promo and access, then shown fake wire transfer receipts as proof of payment. The setting did half the work. A luxury address, a known name, and the promise of exposure felt like momentum. Deals closed quickly because everything appeared professional and time-sensitive. By the time questions surfaced, items were already out the door. The haul reads like a luxury catalog: a bulletproof Escalade, high-end watches, and a 232-inch LED TV, with total value exceeding $1 million. People trusted the name and the setting, and the receipts looked official until banks said otherwise. Join by subscribing if you prefer receipts over rumors. Every claim here tracks to filings or official releases. But the moment this story exploded wasn't in a spreadsheet, it was at the front door. Agents hit the South Florida property first. Cameras rolled. Headlines wrote themselves. Neighbors watched a quiet street turn into a command post, and clips raced across social media in minutes. The optics mattered because they framed public opinion before jurors were even sworn in. It's the kind of scene people remember when they think about a case later. Hours later, Kingston was arrested in California, a coast-to-coast split screen that supercharged national coverage before a single juror sat down. The imagery mattered. Luxury address on one end, cuffs on the other, and a case that suddenly felt bigger than a contract dispute. Click subscribe to get our follow-up on how splashy raids sway public opinion and juries, even before opening statements. Inside the courtroom, two clashing narratives tried to control the soundtrack. Prosecutors painted a pattern. Curated clout plus forged wires equals unpaid merchandise. The defense argued stunted financial maturity and poor money management from early fame. Closing arguments turned on credibility and intent, not just paperwork. The judge weighed remorse against method and scale, then made the call. It was a reminder that apologies matter, but patterns matter more. The judge credited Kingston for apologizing and not testifying falsely, but criticized his mother's role and behavior, which the court viewed as obstructive. The verdict was held, and the sentence reflected scale, planning, and prior warnings ignored. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our plain English read of the sentencing memo and guideline math. Why 3.5 years, and what exactly follows that number? Judge David S. Leibowitz set 42 months, ordered immediate custody, and noted the scheme's scope. His mother received 5 years in July. That length signals the court saw more than a one-off misunderstanding. It saw a repeated pattern. After prison, conditions will matter: supervision, payment schedules, and any restrictions on financial activity. Those details shape the real-world path long after headlines move on. Officials and reports also point to supervised release and restitution efforts that will continue long after the cameras leave. No home confinement, no later surrender, cuffs in court, case closed for now. Smash that subscribe button if you want us to track restitution milestones, supervised release terms, and any sudden docket moves. But there's a bigger lesson about why this worked on sellers at all. Vendors admitted the pitch included shout-outs and exposure. Social currency that can feel like cash when a famous name asks. Social proof removes friction. A recognizable face reduces skepticism, and a tight timeline keeps questions short. Add a nice address and a confident assistant, and the deal feels inevitable. That's where risk hides, in the rush to say yes before someone else does. Add the setting of a high-end home and a glossy receipt screenshot, and urgency can replace due diligence. In that gap, bad deals close fast. Subscribe for our quick sellers checklist: 5 red flags to stop a 6-figure mistake before it starts. If the fame halo hadn't been so bright, would the wires have been double-checked sooner? Defense statements say repayments have begun and an appeal may be evaluated, but timelines are measured in filings, not interviews. The next beats are procedural: notice of appeal, designation of record, and briefing schedules. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Prisons makes a placement decision based on offense, history, and programming needs. None of that moves at social media speed, but it moves. In the short term, the Bureau of Prisons will determine facility placement. Meanwhile, victims pursue compensation through court-ordered restitution. These steps move slower than headlines, but they move. Hit subscribe to get notified when the appeal notice, placement details, or restitution schedules hit the record. The case also exposes a wider problem that goes beyond one artist. This is the blueprint. A big name opens doors, a polished setting lowers defenses, and a screenshot poses as proof. The fix is discipline. Verify, clear, then deliver, especially when 6 figures are on the line. Escrow services, bank-to-bank confirmations, and written terms sound boring until they save your business. In an age of instant hype, patience is a profit center. This is the blueprint for a modern luxury con. Big name, glossy setting, instant proof, and a promise of exposure that lowers defenses. The fix isn't complicated. Verify funds, wait for cleared wires, and treat promotion as bonus, not payment. When money moves, screenshots don't prove, settlement does. Subscribe for our free mini guide on safe escrow and wire verification for creators and small brands. If one seller had paused for clearance, how different would this story read? Sean Kingston will serve 3.5 years. His mother will serve 5. The restitution clock keeps ticking after both walk out. When the noise fades, paperwork and payments remain, and that's where real accountability lives. For fans, it's a jarring shift from summer anthems to sentencing entries. For businesses, it's a reminder that no name is bigger than a cleared transfer. The court's message was simple: celebrity doesn't convert promises into payments. For fans, it's a cautionary tale. For businesses, it's a playbook to study and avoid. Subscribe if you want straight-talk legal storytelling that turns viral stories into useful lessons you can act on. What happens when fame meets paperwork? And which one do you trust first?